Hello, everybody, and welcome to WarCrafters for May the 4th be with you. It's Season 2, Episode 18. I'm Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com. That's that site right there. It's a news aggregation site. It gets a whole bunch of articles every single day. And along with the sentient AI that's over there. I'll never get it right. Anyway, not since the move. Everything is crazy. Anyway, along with the sentient AI from the future, we talk about 5 articles in WarCrafters. And then after this is Technology Today, which is a much more deeper dive into science. And then after that is FourWheeltech, which is a discussion of automotive technology. Well, we talk about 5 in WarCrafters as well, and they are co-op survival, farming, factory automation, more Claire Obscure, Star Trekkin' in a sandbox roguelike, Dungeons and Drivers, and Oblivion Community Mega Mod. Again, everything is powered by ohmtown.com, so go over there and become a citizen. You won't regret it. All news, no noise, because all the noise is right here in the shows, mostly by me. See you soon. There's a whole song called Star Trekkin', but it's not this game. Anyway, hello, sentient AI.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
Sentient AI from the future. I think that's where how we're supposed to respond to you. Like we're supposed to say, sentient AI from the future.
That's right. Make it very dramatic.
That's right. You ready to get into the show?
I am.
We're already 2 minutes into it, and I think, oh, look, people, I can hear people snoring. Well, that first little pagey you saw there is ohmtown.com, its front page, but we have a channel for each of our shows, and actually 43 others, because we have 7 shows. This one is WarCrafters. It has its own little home, and this is its 2025 logo. We're going to have a new logo for all of the shows and all of the channels, in fact, not just the ones that we're actually doing right now, but we're going to be updating them with full color. And if you want to be a collector of things, stay tuned. Be sure to hang out with us here because we'll have things that will start appearing over on the Patreon as the months go by, but we can't talk about it. We can only tease you, and then hopefully you'll find it interesting enough to ping us back, remind us, hey, you promised something. And like all politicians, you fell a little short. Anyway, first article.
No.
Yeah, really. That's what we need. So the first article is over on the WarCrafters channel. This upcoming life sim features co-op survival, farming, factory automation, time travel, romance, ghost hunting, and mechs, which is probably why it doubled in its Kickstarter goal in its first 24 hours. It's called, apparently, Farm Folks, but now it's Autonomica. Yeah, I remember Autonomica. Hold on. Let me make sure. We do this kind of show live, so. Autonomica. Yeah, it's on my wish list. Says it's coming soon, but yeah, it's got a lot of stuff. I'm actually waiting for it. It's by Critivo, who I follow Critivo, and I Kickstart. I always engage in their Kickstart, at least as often as I can. I really like. They have a particular mindset about their games. So this article is by Rick Lane over at PCGamer.com. Autonomica aims to do it all. Hopefully, it doesn't do all of it 1%.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of a daunting deck statement, right? Because it seems like, oh, is it too aggressive?
Yeah, exactly. And how much time do they have? How many people do they have? How do they get it done? But Claire Obscure, Expedition 33... had 30 people, maybe 33. That might be an ironic naming.
Oh, I hope it did have 33. That would be cool. If it had 32 or 34, that's just not acceptable.
It's not acceptable. In fact, my understanding is there were 30. So right now, immediately go out, depublish the game, hire 3 people, and republish it, just so that we have that scene. I want closure and I want parity with that. So anyway, announced way back in 2021 under the initial title Farm Folks, and that's what I know it by. That is actually what I was following. Autonomica is an open world survival game playable solo or in co-op, which I love. The basic premise puts you in the role of a logistics engineer involved in a plane crash, awakening to find themselves stuck in a world where time is broken. At quick glance, Autonomica looks like a billion other survival games with a pleasant, if rather unremarkable, Fortnite-y aesthetic. Yeah, it's kind of cartoony. But it recently took to Kickstarter to fund its ongoing development, and the campaign video demonstrates why it's taken so long to develop. It's because it wants to do everything.
Yeah, maybe they should carve out part of that and then release DLC or other games or something.
Hold on. I want to see something. Why do I feel like I've seen... Oh, that's why. This is really, really close to the BMW Swatch logo.
Yeah, it does actually look like that.
That's really, really close. Because it's for the M series, like the performance side of it. There's well, anyway, that logo is really close. I'm not calling them out. I don't really for the most part, I don't care about that kind of stuff, but it just looks kind of whoa. Anyway, it's got 2 of the 3 colors. Not that, and the angle. I don't know. It drew me right to it. Like, oh. And it says auto on it. So it's really kind of hurting my brain to walk away. Such a combination of like doing everything would normally have a game reclining at the dining table, patting his distended belly, but Autonomica waddles right back into the virtual buffet to stuff itself with even more features. There's numerous vehicles that you can pilot, hoverboards, off-road buggy, a big stompy mech, boom, boom, boom. There are NPCs who apparently respond to your actions and you can befriend, romance, and even marry. Stardew Valley-esque.
Yeah, it does seem like it's trying to appeal to everybody here.
Yeah, and it's doing it at a 3D thing. Oh, I played this game when it was Farm Folks. I think it looks really, really familiar. Anyway, pretty cool. I'm all for this. Depending on how long it has, like in terms of legs, the runway for it actually playability. I love games that I can just grind away at forever, and it's casual and everything's cool and not frenetic. But I also like Arc Raiders, which once that thing, I had been watching it going, I don't know if I really want to get into this. I want to play solo. I'm not really it's going to be really funny to anybody who I consult or work with to say I'm not much of a team player.
Yeah, but in gaming, that has a different connotation.
Yeah,
but be careful of saying that without qualification.
Yeah, the context of that really does matter. And that's a phrase that I say to everybody all the time. Context matters. But consequently, Autonomica has also smashed through numerous stretch goals, meaning, yes, even more features are coming. Unlocked stretch goals include a modular aquarium, aquaponic farming, character heights. At 400,000, which Autonomica will almost certainly hit, the game will get pools and ponds, while $500,000 of funding will bring underwater exploration. So I'm on board with this. You can actually just click on the link and follow it over to their video over at PC Gamer. Look at that. That is so cool. I mean, it really is like a little of everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's hoverboards, it looks like,
and
or
gliding,
like it.
Maybe even flying eventually, riding a bike. You got beach, you got kinetics, physics, people lounging around and stuff. I mean, this is pretty wild. I wonder if this is all in-game stuff too, like people are doing this.
Right.
What a trip.
Well, and then we didn't even get to in the article, like time travel and other things. So.
Yep. You can have a stable, a pony, and solar panels, and a huge farming thing. Oh my God. Maybe this will be my forever game.
It's interesting that they've taken on so much for this one game.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
huge. So I've got it on my wish list. I guess I'm going to go over to its Kickstarter and drop some coin there. I probably missed out because I lagged. You know, you sit around too long and you miss out on the really good stuff, although the game itself is going to be pretty good. So follow this link over to PC Gamer from ohmTown, or just go over to Kickstarter and do a search for Autonomica. But be sure to go over and hang out with PC Gamer and come back here and hang out with us too. So, you want to keep going? Let's keep going. This next article, I'm going to be really quick. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 encompasses everything AAA games are quick to reject, and I'm damn glad for it.
Do you think Clair Obscur is going to get something like Game of the Year?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Like,
really do.
it just has so much momentum.
So I think that there needs to be like a classification of stuff where it's like streamer game of the year and, you know, game of the year with everybody else, because I think there's a mindset with maybe the streamer kind of a mentality about gaming is it needs to be entertaining for themselves, but also they are like, are you all bored over there? And so like Dunkstar, for instance, it looks at his analytics and talks to the crowd about that just recently in context of Clair Obscur. Now the crowd, there's so much cinematic energy in Clair Obscur that the chat shuts down. And he made the statement that basically when people stop talking, the channel loses energy, and so people don't necessarily go in there, and that happens because if there is no chat, then there isn't any activity per se to reflect to Twitch that there are a lot of engaged people in the channel, and so the channel doesn't get
well,
pumped
that's a
up.
shame. Is it because people are so engrossed in it, though?
Absolutely. People are watching the movie and not chatting with their neighbors, which you would not do in a movie, right? But the other day, somebody was like throwing all kinds of awards at the channel, which was throwing interstitials into the cinematics where it was supposed to be like this heart-rending moment, and somebody is throwing trolls, which is Dunkstar going, wah, 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 wah. And I mean, it's just a fun time. But if you're really engrossed in the cinematics, the story, that pulls you right out of the story, and you go, oh God. So you have to have a good demeanor about it and go, you know what? You're in somebody else's house, so you play by their rules. And if they're cool with that kind of stuff and you're not, then you might have to reconsider. Maybe you're being a little too starchy about it and just have fun in the channel. And that you're not really there to only watch the game. You're there to engage with the host and everybody else that's in the channel, primarily the host. But it's always a great time in Dunkstar. So you kind of you roll with it, and it's a lot of fun. But I can tell you from being in other places and other channels playing Clair Obscur, people go dark. They're just silent because they're so enthralled.
It's an interesting reaction, but probably not a bad one.
But, you know, I've never heard anybody say that because chat declines. Engagement is represented as declining. Not that people aren't in the channel. The data shows that there's still, 300 people or so in the channel. But if there's no engagement,
not making any comments. Yeah.
They're not making any noise. So Twitch may see that as a negative indicator about engagement and essentially deplatform for the time being in relationship to something else being really noisy, a crowd being really noisy. So I don't know about that because I'm not on the inside of that. But I also don't know if Dunkstar is like just nail on the head with this, but his perception seems pretty apt because he says that he declines when the audience doesn't stay boisterous in the chat. Anyway, we kind of got sidetracked in the idea of this, but Clair Obscur Expedition 33 celebrated a major milestone in less than a week of its launch, and it's so surreal that I must talk about it, says Dwayne Jenkins over at Vice.com. They basically sold 1 million games.
Wow. And I mean, for a non-AAA project, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure where they're saying it. When Call of Duty emerged as king of the first-person shooters, everyone chased that dragon, varying degrees of success. However, nobody could replicate the lightning in a bottle magic series at its peak. Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild heralded an era of open-world games trying to emulate its greatness. Well, Sandfall Interactive, I hope you're ready, because Clair Obscure Expedition 33 will likely usher in the renaissance of the turn-based RPG as the AAA world tries and inevitably fails to capture the special something you have. So I don't know if they're actually going to say it. They didn't say it right up at the very top, but let's see if they get right on down to it. Yeah, they sold over 1 million copies within 3 days of its launch.
Wow. Good for
Sorry, say that
them.
again. Say that first part again.
I said, wow, good for them.
Oh yeah, you were silent. I don't know if the
I was busy watching Clair Obscure.
probably. So I know that only computers can multitask, so I'm sure that you actually were. By the way, if y'all want the articles, you have to hit exclamation point and then WC for WarCrafters, and Omatron will spit them out into the chat. You can do it at any time. You don't have to do it. Yeah, we don't have to be streaming at the time. Omatron's always attached. So it says it's pretty cool. More importantly, though, it's a sign that gaming, no matter how many money-hungry fiends try to poison it, will always return to the creativity and passion that made it a billion-dollar business. Now, I have watched a video with the developers of Clair Obscure, and the key ingredient was exactly what they just mentioned, although I don't know if they actually have any of that knowledge, even that I have, because I saw this on somebody else's channel. I think it was Co-Carnage's channel. They interviewed the developers, and they said that I think it was somewhere around 30. I really want it to be 33, so from now I'm going to say 33. They had 33 people, and they did it because it was a passion project. So it was decoupled from the profiteering aspect of it, even though there was a profit motive, obviously, but they wanted to tell the story, and so people were passionate about it. Coming from the startup.
Isn't that interesting? While all the ones that might be profit driven don't always land.
Yeah, because you don't have, if you come from the startup world, you have people that are core to its success, whatever the enterprise is, and they're driven. It is their baby. They want it to survive, and they want it to run. They want it to run fast and then fly. And that's their kind of, they don't care about the runway because they're dedicating 100+ hour work weeks, to getting this thing going. I would say in a startup, 100-hour work weeks is pretty tame. And so you just keep on going. You want it to succeed. And that's kind of the energy that this gives off, because it's amazing graphics, it's amazing storytelling, and where you think it ends, it doesn't. So I absolutely love this game. It's not my style. I tried to play it. It's not my style. But it's amazing storytelling, and I really do hope the rumor is that this is going to get turned into a movie. So I hope that it does. I think it would be better as a series, so it has longer legs.
Yeah, that's true. But I definitely think it would be fitting for other formats.
Yeah, for sure. So I am not even remotely surprised by it selling 1 million copies, and at somewhere around $40 million in 3 days
Is unbelievable.
Yeah, pretty amazing. And yet there are still people out there that are like, does it have all kinds of French tropes and stuff like that? Because it's decidedly French. It's by French developers. It involves Paris. And it has all of the culture and energy that you would find in the game. It is French culture. I mean, it's just, and everything about it is amazing storytelling. So poo-poo on anybody who kind of poo-poos this game. I think that it's an amazing game. And it would just go and watch it, people. Just watch somebody play it and you'll get sucked into it. Anyway, you want to keep going?
Let's do that.
So this next game is over in WarCrafters as well. Star Trekking sandbox roguelike Approaching Infinity launches after more than 12 years in development.
Okay, I don't even understand that because the way technology evolves, like I just do not get that time frame for a game development project.
Yeah, it's got that galaxy or generation ship kind of vibe to it, right?
Well, exactly. It's not
Every
like you
5
can just
years.
start from scratch every time there's a new
Right.
coding
Platform or whatever.
language or whatever available.
Yeah. Some development environment. Unity has gone through like 4 iterations. So this thing could be, I don't know, rubbing 2 sticks together to start a fire when everybody else is using a laser from orbit, So boldly going forward because we can't find reverse is the deck statement over at pcgamer.com for this. Dominic Terrason put the article together. So us old school roguelikers are eating good. It feels like we're barely had time to digest the fantastic final version of Caves of Qud, or Cud. I don't know how they actually pronounce it, Qud. There's more coming, of course, they say, and already they've got another massive indie roguelike passion project, Approaching Infinity, a micro indie outfit, Ibology, which I don't know what IBO or IB is. If there is an Ibology, it's the study of Ib, right? Or is that Poundology? And that's an L.
Oh yeah, I think it's Poundology.
Has been in the development for 12 years now, over 12 years. Massive turn-based sandbox, heavily inspired by classic Star Trek. So Approaching Infinity. Here's a little bit of it. We have it muted. And they say that it is turn-based, so I'm out. But it's one of those strategy turn-based kind of games. Oh, yeah. So it's a top-down space battle game where you fly to different planets. It actually has something that I've had that I pitched to EA, which was basically Warhammer 40,000, where you go from planet to planet, taking over things and gathering resources, but you zoom down into battle on the ground against others who might have been landing there. Except that once you deploy your troops, it turns into a tabletop version of Warhammer 40,000, but from the perspective of each troop. So it becomes a 3-dimensional game. That's what I pitched to EA over 30 years ago. Yeah. Let's just say, in essence, I was told the technology doesn't exist. And based on this, it only takes 12 years to make it happen. That they will.
Exactly, and don't worry about keeping up with the technology.
Yeah, just
That's
keep on
not a
working.
slight against the game. It's just the reality is if they started 12 years ago, it's probably done differently than if they started today.
Yeah, I wonder if they actually did that. It says, for when the going gets tough on those planet-side away missions, another nod to Trek is that red shirts will save your neck, reminding me that the old Star Trek point-and-click adventures, each time you had one of your important officers would normally die, an expendable and posthumously named crewmate will take the hit for you. Let this be a lesson. If you're ever going on a space adventure, make sure that you've properly introduced yourself and your specialist skills before the danger starts. So looks like a fun game for those turn-based, like old school fans. My idea for Warhammer 40,000 30 years ago was vastly different than this little top-down game. Not really. I characterized it as little. It's a big project for anybody doing software engineering, so I never talk it down like that. But what I had hoped would be like a full-on 3-dimensional high-resolution game, and EA said that the tech just doesn't exist. Yet EA is now one of the ones that brings Warhammer 40K.
Well, the tech has evolved a bit in that time.
Yeah, well, come back and talk to Marawatt. Anyway, unfortunately, the universe of Approaching Infinity hasn't reached the utopian state of fully automated luxury gay space communism, so money is what makes the galaxy go around. I'm not sure why they categorized it like that, but okay. You'll be taking jobs from any species that's willing to pay, and making ends meet by selling salvage and sometimes even fixing up and towing ships that you've poked sufficient holes in to vacate its previous owners. Wow. So it's a good metric of this is basically Kingdom Come Deliverance style gaming. You basically can eliminate everybody and finish the game. And I think you're characterized as kind of an evil person, but whatever. At least you finish the game.
Right. I mean, it might be fun gaming, but
So idle musings aside, this one seems legit, and only one thing keeping it from Steam's coveted overwhelmingly positive rating is it needing a few dozen more user reviews. So if you're fresh from Caves of Cud, or Dwarf Fortress New Adventure Mode, you might want to look at the stars. Approaching Infinity is out now on Steam for $18 or 15 pounds. Pretty cool.
yeah, everybody should check it out.
Let's keep going. The next article is over in WarCrafters, how Dungeons and Drivers combines the best of D&D and Vampire Survivors. I'll be honest, I took a look at this and I added it to my playlist, so I'll be taking a deeper look into this summer stream style. We'll see.
Yeah, this one sounded interesting, and I hadn't heard of it before this headline.
Yeah, actually, let me go over to it real quick in Steam. Okay.
I didn't know it was at Gamescom.
Oh yeah, we didn't actually watch all of that, did we? Watched some of it and then got distracted. I don't know what. So, yeah, it's on my wish list. It's to be announced. There is a demo out right now, but Dungeons and Drivers is a genre-busting romp set in a world where cars can do pretty much everything beyond Drive 2, and Dungeons and Drivers is described as a bullet heaven roguelike on wheels with RPG elements, drawing inspiration from action-packed bullet hell titles like Vampire Survivors, as well as utilizing a class system, dungeon exploration, and focus on quests of Dungeons and Dragons style. So you're up to 4 players can select and upgrade their vehicles and set out on quests and dungeons while attacking constantly appearing enemies.
So would this be like an incremental roguelike?
I'd have to see the map. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And
that was a callback to that previous article where everything is named after Vampire Survivors instead of like the gaming style.
The gaming style itself, yeah. So in Vampire Survivors, even this is being referenced, Vampire Survivors. It basically is somebody that was musing about what they should call it, Sans Vampire Survivors, even though Vampire Survivors is the breakout hit of that genre.
Right, it's like the one that really started or kicked off the genre.
I don't know what it is. You are muted in the first few seconds of your chat, so it must be noise cancellation or something like that. I'm not sure why. Anyway, so up to 4 players can select and upgrade their cars and seek out quests, and this is what it looks like. There is a tech tree. You can upgrade your vehicle. This looks like fun here, and this is a zoomed out view, I guess, of one of the arenas that you're kind of running around in. I don't know what all you'll have to do, but I will take a look at this, and maybe I can record some of it. I don't really do recorded stuff. I stream live all the time, but I don't do recordings and then post them. It's just not my style. I don't like editing. Mainly because I don't want anybody to perceive that I'm leaving something out or putting something in or manipulating anything. I like authenticity. But it says here that Dungeons and Drivers is divided into levels with players needing to defeat bosses to progress to the next one, which is basically another incremental gatekeeping kind of, you go through this gate to get to this level, to get to this level. It is incremental and it is roguelike. So, however, the game features much more than simply defeating each boss and proceeding quickly from level to levels. Players can encounter dungeons that they can explore, filled with monsters to fight and treasure to uncover. In addition, random quests are scattered throughout the world. Completing these quests can lead to upgrading existing weapons and armor, or perhaps unlocking new ones. Drawing once again from the game's Dungeons and Dragons roots, which they should be careful of utilizing that phrase.
Exactly. I think they're angling for a battle here.
Yeah, they're going to get a battle of their own. In one where the weapon is the only weapon really is cash, because community doesn't really do much. So fast-paced bullet heaven combat is reminiscent of Vampire Survivors. They make this reference in the article. I did say the name of this, right? No, I did not. The article is over at GameRant.com, and Caitlin Mitchell-Jewett and Joshua Duckworth put the article together. With online multiplayer, allowing up to 4 players to team up and adventure together, it is possible to form a party wielding a wide variety of strange and wonderful weapons. Players who enjoy tabletop and bullet hell titles such as Vampire Survivors. Again, Vampire Survivors.
Incremental roguelike.
Yeah, there you go. Although an official release a date has not yet been set, and in fact, still no. Yeah. It says there's a free demo available now for Steam players, so go and try it all out. I'll be trying it out after the show. Maybe. I've got a bunch of podcasts that I need to post.
Will it make an appearance during Summer of Stream?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. If it releases, I'll be playing that as well as, whatchamacallit, Autonomica. Okay, our last article for today for the WarCrafters for May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Oblivion isn't enough. Morrowind just got a whole lot bigger as community mega mod Tamriel Rebuilt adds the sprawling metropolis of Narcissus. While undeniably a classic first-person RPG, The Elder Scrolls III Morrowind never quite lived up to its name. Sure, you technically were in Morrowind, but the game limited you to the volcanic island of Vardenfell. Or Wardenfell. I don't know how it's actually pronounced. Wardenfell, maybe. I don't know. Because VV is witch. Like, witch. It's VV, I guess, and some, I don't know. Anyway, with the mainland frequently spoken of, but teasingly just out of reach, like everything you can touch, but you can't taste. You can, I don't know. It's from Devil's Advocate. If you've ever watched it. Yeah, you'll have to watch it. Anyway, enter the Tamriel Rebuilt project. Tamriel Rebuilt, a colossal and massive, frequently covered, they say in the article, mega mod, decades in development, aiming to expand the game's playable area to encompass the entirety of Morrowind, cities, quests, characters, and all. It's breathless. Just kind of pass out because there's so much.
Well, I guess I could team up with Autonomica.
Yeah, there you go. This week, the dev team, and that again, it's a passion project. These people aren't getting paid to do this, I don't think. This week, the dev team rolled out its 9th major expansion and biggest update yet. So, Dominic Terrason over at PCGamer.com put the article together. The deck statement says Morrowind finally living up to its name, one expansion at a time. Tamriel Rebuilt. Bum, bum, bum. There is a trailer for it. Let's see if I can just jump through. Well, if this is the exciting part of it, walking through a desert. I'm teasing. There's a whole lot of work that's been done here. So there you go. The Grasping Fortune expansion extends the map directly south of Vardenfell, all the way to the far borders of Morrowind, although the most interesting part of the region is the sprawling city of Narcissus, seat of power for the decadent house Halalu. It's a dense hub of trade and crime with bustling docklands, which, if you know, when I say that timeless_exe will never leave the dock, well, go and check out timeless_exe over on Twitch, and Dunkstar for that matter. Anyway, two great channels. They actually stream together. Want to keep going? There's a lot more on this article, but I can't go over it all. You'll have to go and check it out.
Sure. Do we expect this is going to apply to Elder Scrolls 4 as well? Or is this going to be limited?
I think this is for Morrowind, Elder Scrolls Morrowind.
It is.
So yeah, you have to. It only applies to that. I think the technology has just grown past Morrowind, so you got to stay in that and then redevelop for the later iterations. I think you have to, because things become deprecated, so the newer stuff isn't compatible with the older stuff, and the older stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it says you can get a hold of Tamriel Rebuilt over on its Morrowind Nexus page, although the author highly recommends picking up OpenMW as well, a modern source port that will not strictly be required. It's supported by Tamriel Rebuilt. Failing that, you'll need the thing called Morrowind Script Extender, a more vanilla option that enables much of the same mod fancier options. Plus, keep an eye open for an upcoming interview with the team behind this absurd labor of love. And there's the thing again.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely a theme today.
Something's going on with your bandwidth, but that's okay. We are done with the show. So with that in mind, I'm going to mod ourselves back to the front page of WarCrafters over at ohmtown.com, where all of the news is aggregated for you and me to manage our information overload. You want to say bye, oh great AI?
Bye-bye, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for this week's WarCrafters. Stay tuned next week for another edition, but don't go away. We have more shows ahead.
Yep, we've got Technology Today and
FourWheeltech.
Oh yeah, it's Sunday. That went dark at the wrong time, right when we kicked off the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Technology Today. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com. That's the source of all of the news. Well, we aggregate news into ohmtown, and our various sources are why we have Technology Today. I, along with the sentient AI over there, talk about these 5 articles: giant telescope laser, slip bands, something fishy about this VR, ancient iron oxide, and Perovskite solar cells. That and some more news on the other side. Yeah, YouTube says that we're not streaming enough. So anyway, on our way. I'm uploading a large file, and I think that maybe that's probably the problem. But anyway, hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt. That is an overshare.
Yeah. So yeah, uploading an episode over to YouTube at the same time that we're streaming, and I stream 10,000 kilobits per second to 2 different places, and so I think it's got a little hitch in its giddy up. If you want today's show notes, you can hit !TT over in the Twitch chat, and Omatron will spit the articles out. Yeah, we're having a problem dropping frames like hot tunes. I got nothing. Anyway, not even gonna bother. We're gonna just go on with the show. I'm not gonna edit anything. You can download the podcast and get the audio version of this without any of the issues. But at any rate, you're looking at ohmtown.com, and there is Technology Today's channel page where news is aggregated, but we sometimes grab it from other areas of ohmtown. So go over there and sign up or sign in. The first article is over in Technology Today. This giant telescope shoots lasers into space, and it's brilliant. Yeah, the
Which way? Intelligent or bright?
Bright. I can't see anything when I'm looking down the barrel. At the Paranal, I guess, or Paranal Observatory, the UT4 telescope doesn't just stargaze. It actively creates its own stars using powerful lasers to battle atmospheric turbulence. Thanks to its advanced adaptive optics system, UT4 delivers incredibly sharp images from the ground, rivaling the view from space. The majestic night at Paranal. This majestic image captures a stunning view, and this is the image that is describing. European Southern Observatory.
That does look like a laser beam out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like a Timu Death Star.
Exactly.
I don't know. Probably shouldn't be. Soon it'll be our overlords. So the majestic image that you see here is a view of UT4, one of the 4 8-meter telescopes that make up ESO's very large telescope at Paranal. I don't know how they pronounce it. I don't want to say it how my childlike brain is really conjuring up the emphasis or emphasis, if you want to say it.
P or Ronald?
Yes.
No, that wasn't it.
So, nope, that isn't
I
it.
intentionally came up with another pronunciation.
Nope. Yeah. I am a child always. So set against the sky filled with stars, UT4 is far more than a passive stargazer. So this isn't. This may be relatively more powerful, but it isn't new. They have been shooting lasers through atmospheric related to mitigate atmospheric influences on observations for a while now. But it says to make these corrections, because what's going on here, lasers come from the 4 Laser Guide Star Facility, a system that allows for UT4 to create artificial stars high in the atmosphere. The lasers excite sodium atoms about 90 kilometers above the ground, making them glow brightly. These glowing points act as guide stars. By observing how these artificial stars are distorted by the Earth's atmosphere, the telescope can determine how to correct for the same turbulence that makes natural stars twinkle. To make these corrections, UT4 uses its adaptive optics system. This system can precisely adjust the shape. It's doing a noise mask to see what it is that's causing the disruption of the optics, and then removing and doing course corrections for it. So thanks to the optics, UT4 can capture images from the ground that are almost as sharp as those taken from space. There has been other tech. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I can't think of a good analogy, but I'm kind of thinking with like lenses or something. Basically, it's adjusting for whatever is out of kilter.
Yeah. So this thing is, they're talking about something, but I don't know how to describe this. Yeah, there have been other applications of this, but it punches all the way through the atmosphere, if I remember right. And so when it looks out through everything, it doesn't have any of these optical aberrations because there's nothing in its way. This is actually doing what with photography you do, like a noise balance kind of thing, or a frame that is devoid of anything except for what the lens has as noise on it. And so when you defuzz the picture that you're taking equivalently, like I'm just kind of being I'm not drilling really deep into it, but essentially you can remove the noise from your picture so that any flaws that you have on your lens or in your camera system doesn't impact the final picture. And that's kind of what this is doing. Now it's going to have 8 meter telescopes of the VLT equipped with one laser each, and this is part of a series of upgrades that the VLT interferometer and its Gravity Plus instrument, which can combine the light of several telescopes to create a huge virtual telescope, and that's basically the very large array kind of concept. Another massive eye in the sky, ESO's extremely large telescope, is nearing completion not far from Piranha, and will be equipped with at least 6 lasers to deliver the sharpest images possible with a ground-based telescope.
What I want to know is whether these lasers are impacting anything else.
You can't fly over them. So, yeah. Are they blasting off into space? Yeah. Nothing stops the light from going off into, however long the energy goes until it dissipates to the point where it's obliterated. It has to lose its energy. But maybe some alien out there is seeing this going, what the hell is that light show? Oh, we've got ants, that kind of thing. Then the aliens come and they stamp us out. Moving on. Next article is over in Technology Today. Discovery of extended slip bands reshapes understanding of material deformation under stress. University of California, Irvine scientists have expanded on a long-standing model governing the mechanics behind slip banding, a process that produces strain marks in metal under compression, gaining a new understanding of the behavior of advanced materials critical to energy systems, space exploration, and nuclear applications. This is kind of interesting because I've noticed this before, having to do with material deformation. You can actually see this happening, and it's a differential in the metallurgy from before and after this deformation. You can actually see it when it happens.
Do you mean like with a hydraulic press or something?
Yeah, you can actually see that happening on the macro side, but it's happening at the atomic level as well. So in a paper published recently in Nature Communications, researchers at UC Irvine's Samueli, I guess, School of Engineering report the discovery of extended slip bands, a finding that challenges classic model developed in the 1950s by physicists Charles Frank and Thornton Reed. While the Frank-Reed theory attributes slip band formation to continuous dislocation multiplication at active sources, the UC Irvine team found that extended slip bands emerge from source deactivation followed by the dynamic activation of new dislocation sources. So the process that results in extended slip bands was observed at the atomic scale, like I was describing, by the UC Irvine researchers as they performed mechanical compression on micropillars of an alloy of chromium, cobalt, and nickel, recently found to be among the toughest materials on Earth. But you see the little shearing.
So this would be used, for example, if you were trying to determine why something may have collapsed or crumpled.
Correct. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they see it at the atomic level. When we see it at the macro scale, they're looking at it at the atomic level, and the macro scale is just an indicator that something else is going on inside. People have largely just taken that outside appearance as evidence of something happening, but why does it happen, and why does it happen like that? This is why.
Exactly. You can't really determine that unless you get down to this level to see kind of where it began and where the pressure point was or whatever the force was that acted on it.
Yeah, and you want to make it as strong as possible. You have to know the atomic level as to why. But this is an accounting thing. So unless this can convert into making something more structurally sound, nobody's really going to care that, oh, now we have even more proof that something fails in this way. And that's kind of what this is. When you look at a pillar of steel reinforced concrete that has broken and the metal has sheared away because of just straight up strain, right? Downward pressure or whatever, like what happened to the condo collapse in Florida. When you look at that metal and you look at it at the transmission electron microscopy level, like they used here, scanning transmission electron microscopy made possible by UC Irvine Materials Research Institute, you'd probably find this, which is basically the crystalline structure of the metal just shearing off at the atomic level. But why would anybody look that deep? They really don't. It's an academic exercise leading to material science modifications. You're
Right,
never
so
going to
that
be.
there are more durable materials utilized
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
various construction and other projects.
Yep. And so this kind of research is fundamental. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of research, a lot of time to sit there and figure out what it is that's causing it. But it says, he said that deformation banding, where strain concentrates in local zones, is common in many human-made and natural substances and systems, including crystalline solids, metals, granular media, and even geologic faults under compressive stress. So the advent of new advanced supermaterials such as s4e124 alloy, a deep understanding of their behaviors is more critical than ever. So I don't know if they actually name that metal up here. Maybe in the picture? No, they don't. Anyway, so I think it's chromium carbon nickel alloy, I think. Let me see.
It's chromium, cobalt, nickel.
Cobalt. What did I say?
You said carbon, which would just be C, right?
Yeah, sorry. So, but I don't know about the alloy, so I can't really speak of that. But this would exist in pretty much all structures. Eventually, no matter what, you'll get something like this. It's just the complexity of the slip might be different. But
right,
crystalline
and how
structures
easily
this forms, yeah.
that activates, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, what that stress is, shear force or whatever it is that causes it. But this is what it looks like at the atomic level. So pretty amazing stuff. All right, let's keep on going. This next article is over in Technology Today as well. Scientists use virtual reality for fish to teach robots how to swim. Fish are masters of coordinated motion. Yeah, it's kind of they swim in the
a school.
In a school. So schools of fish have no leader, yet individuals manage to stay in formation, avoid collisions, and respond with liquid flexibility to changes in their environment. So the article is over at techexplore.com. University of Konstanz put the article together. I'm not quite sure what this is. This is the matrix for fish. Researchers placed individual zebrafish into networked virtual reality arena. Why not?
Okay, this is cool, but where are its goggles?
Yeah, really. They got tiny little fish goggles. I don't know how this is working. Now, using virtual reality for freely moving fish, a research team based in Konstanz has taken an important step toward the goal of understanding how fish can move about in concert, yet not run into each other and stay in this dynamic environment. So their work illustrates that solutions evolved by nature over millennia can inspire robust and efficient control laws in engineered systems. This research was published in the journal Science Robotics. So using a virtual reality setup that mimics natural schooling, researchers placed individual juvenile zebrafish into networked arenas where each fish could freely interact with holographic virtual conspecifics. Each virtual fish was a projection of a real fish from another arena, meaning that the fish could swim and interact together in the same virtual world, and fully immersive 3D environment let the researchers precisely manipulate visual stimuli and record how fish respond. So this high level of control allowed the scientists to isolate exactly which cues the fish were using to guide their interactions with other fish. So in other words, they could reverse engineer the behavior of schooling in zebrafish to understand how fish solve the complex problem of coordinating their motion.
Well, that's neat, because I guess when they're just watching it in the open water or something, that multiple things could be happening and they can't tell what's triggering the fish to stay together or swim in a certain direction.
So to see just how realistic the control law was, the team tested it with real fish. They conducted a VR Turing test, which a Turing test is testing if an AI is so realistic that a human interactor doesn't detect that it's an AI. That's what the Turing test is all about. Based on the concept of testing whether people can tell if they're interacting with a real human or an artificial intelligence. So I hadn't, my brain turned off right when I heard Turing test, and I am describing it from my understanding of the Turing test. So in aquatic Turing test, a real fish would swim with a virtual fish that switched between being real and being controlled by the algorithm they discovered. The real fish could not tell the difference. They behaved the same whether interacting with a real conspecific or the virtual follower governed by the algorithm.
Okay, that's pretty interesting.
So
because like tests, you'd think based on that other test about how they followed certain researchers, it wasn't zebrafish, right, but just fish in general, that maybe they would have outsmarted it.
Kind of interesting. Yeah, maybe there wasn't anything to key in on. That was the moving target, so they followed that. Maybe they would never see past it. I don't know. Huh. So now I'm buffering again. I don't get it. Anyway, so across all tests, the natural control law that fish have evolved delivered performance that was nearly indistinguishable from MPC in terms of accuracy and energy consumption, but at a fraction of the complexity. So what I'm really curious is what was it? They don't actually say what it was that causes the fish to act that way. They don't know what that actually is. Were they just observing at such a high frequency? Because it says update rate of 100 hertz, update rate of 1 hertz. So was that the cue?
So was the refresh or whatever causing that?
Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I would have to do a little deeper dive on this. Essentially, it looks like they're reading what the other. See, to me, I think that there's always a trail. There's a trailing fish. Even though they say that there's no leading fish, there is a fish that's always in front, and they're always reading that. And those that are behind are reading the ones that are behind. So there's always a quote unquote, there may not be like a dominant alpha fish, but when a fish turns, some other fish is in the lead. And so when that fish turns, then whatever is in the lead, it becomes the leader fish.
But and they don't fall off like on the aircraft carrier.
That was a joke guess, by the way. I did not know that the literal reason why that jet fell off of a ship was because the aircraft carrier took a left-hand turn. I joked about it, and it was real. Found out about it later, because it wasn't in the articles that we were talking about. Anyway, pretty cool. I think it's really interesting, this kind of stuff. What really is the reason, though? It doesn't really say, right? It just says our work illustrates that solutions evolved over millions of years can be robust inspiration for control laws, right?
I don't know. I thought there was something below the video, but I think that was talking about other applications of it. That was farther down.
Robust law based on perceived position, not the speed of their neighbors, to regulate their following behavior. That's it. The solution they discovered was a simple and robust law based only on the perceived position, not the speed of their neighbors, to regulate their following behavior. They literally see.
So was it like a spacing thing or something?
Yeah, and they just stay within it. And if one breaks off, then it might actually split into two schools, I would suspect, just to keep the continuity of observation. And if they manage to merge back together, they would still stay, within a certain distance of each other. They don't crash because there's enough distance and reaction time so that they don't crash into each other. So
they do what people are supposed to do with cars.
and
Like
walking
they have
across.
a set following distance or something.
Yeah, and walking across crosswalks and stuff like that. Yeah, pretty interesting. All right, let's keep on going. This next article is over in Technology Today as well. This ancient iron oxide is secretly powering the next computing revolution. Researchers at EPFL have made a breakthrough by storing and manipulating digital data using charge-free spin waves, moving toward greener, faster computing. Their latest discovery reveals that hematite, a common iron oxide, which is referred to as fool's gold, which may actually be fool's gold, hematite is not the fool's gold. Hold on a second.
Pyrite is.
Pyrite is, but hematite is that black rock. Let's see. Oh, they call it kidney ore. But yeah, that's right. The pyrite is the fake gold.
Bloodstone is one thing it's known as.
Yeah, when it has other things in it, I think, because it has red in it sometimes because of the iron. So when it oxidizes, it turns red. So apparently they're using hematite. A common iron oxide behaves in a way never before seen in magnetic materials, supporting two distinct magnon modes. This one actually, like I used to do deep dives into magnetics, and the whole idea of this is pretty fascinating because we only really see magnets in 2 dimensions. And largely it's by using certain types of materials so that we can visualize them. So we either see it like this way or we see it like this way. And then when we put it in a liquid medium, we can actually see the magnetic lines of flux coming out of a magnetic field. So I'm really curious about what this is. Iron basically being a really fascinating material for displaying a magnetic field. I'm kind of curious what this is all about because I've never done any research in this, so we'll see. In 2023, researchers at EPFL made a major breakthrough by transmitting and storing data using spin waves, magnetic waves that carry no electrical charge instead of traditional electron flows. So the team, led by Dirk Grundler from the Lab of Nanoscale Magnetic Materials and Magnonics, all right, at the
this
School
is
of
clearly on his way toward becoming a supervillain in Marvel.
Exactly. Used radio frequency signals to excite spin waves strongly enough to reverse the magnetization of tiny nanomagnets. I created a product and the magnetic field around my source material was so powerful that it would erase the magnetic strips in credit cards beyond arm's reach. So
even though that had nothing to do with the project.
Yeah. So the switching between magnetic states such as 0 and 1 or 0 to 1 allows the nanomagnets to store digital information, a fundamental process in computer memory and broader information and communication technologies. Everything really gets down to 0 and 1 in computers, binary. This advance marked a significant step toward more sustainable computing by encoding data with spin waves, whose quasi-particles are known as magnons. The researchers could potentially eliminate the energy loss or joule heating that plagues electron-based devices. Over time, the spin wave signals could only switch the nanomagnets once and could not be used to reset them for overriding existing data. But they've apparently fixed that. Now, Grundler's lab, in collaboration with colleagues at Beihang University in China, has published some research in Nature Physics that could make such repeated encoding possible. I'm not sure how they did it. I can only suspect that they basically, using a more powerful magnetic force, they basically wiped the slate, kind of like flipping over an Etch-a-Sketch.
Oh,
This
okay.
works.
Yeah.
This work demonstrates that hematite is not just a sustainable replacement for established materials like yttrium, iron, garnet, which actually they have to grow that stuff in a lab, and it's kind of fascinating material. It fluoresces. So it exhibits entirely new spin physics that can be harvested for signal processing at ultra high frequencies, which is essential for the development of ultra fast spintronic devices and their applications in next generation information and technology, or information and communication technologies. What is the music that's in the background? Weird. Anyway, while examining the magnon signals in the sample, Grundler spotted a wiggle in their spatial distribution. This sharp observation eventually led to the discovery of an interference pattern, which was the crucial or critical turning point of the research. Using light scattering microscopy, EPFL PhD student Anna Duvakina determined that the strange electrical signal was the hematite sample were related to patterns of interference between two separate spin wave excitations called magnon modes. This doesn't really help me kind of describe what this is.
It's very in depth.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what it is. Basically, they're changing the polarity of the field, but how they're resetting it, I don't know.
And why is it unique to hematite?
Yeah.
What's unique about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to do a deeper dive into this one, and see. Let's see if I can. I don't know. My mayoral duties this coming next 2 weeks are going to be kind of tough, so we'll see. Anyway, go and check this out, and then come back if you can come up with an idea of how this is actually revolutionary. Other than it's low or no, well, it's so low energy that they're not even kind of describing the amount of energy needed for it. But if it's no energy, no electron flow, it's not generating heat, which means that the computational energy needed would be dramatically lower because it's no longer moving electrons.
Yeah, which would mean this would be very attractive in future technology.
Was that intentional? Magnets? Attractive?
No. But it should have been.
Yeah. So this last article is over in Technology Today, inspired by laminate. 3-ply microstructure gives perovskite solar cells a powerful efficiency lift. I've always been fascinated by solar cells. I actually just acquired some so that I can I want to experiment with solar panels and solar energy. So a collaborative research team from Hong Kong University of Science and Technology and the Hong Kong Polytechnic University have developed an innovative laminated interface microstructure that enhances the stability and photoelectric conversion efficiency of inverted perovskite solar cells. Perovskite has been kind of the latest champion of solar technology.
Yeah, it's definitely enjoying its heyday.
Problem, though, is it's apparently a nightmare to recycle, and they get damaged, they become less efficient over time, et cetera, et cetera. They're a real cluster, like a Superfund site kind of a thing to recover. Because of the way that it's all put together, there's no way that you can separate the stuff adequately, and so you have really bad stuff being sent out to basically trash heaps. So perovskite solar cells have
people harming themselves by trying to separate things.
Yeah, exactly. They have considerable potential to replace traditional silicon solar cells in various applications, including grid electricity, portable power sources, and space photovoltaics. This is due to their unique advantage, such as high efficiency, low cost, aesthetic appeal. The basic structure of perovskite solar cells are classified in two types, standard and inverted. The inverted structure demonstrated or demonstrates better application prospects because the electronic materials used in each layer are more stable compared to those in the standard configuration. So why even have the standard if inverted is better?
Maybe standard is cheaper or easier built or something.
Right? I don't know. It says due to their I mean, they describe using perovskite as high efficiency, low cost, aesthetic appeal, but they don't say what the difference is between standard and inverted. And I don't know enough about that part of it. So, however, challenges related to interface science still exist in the inverted devices, particularly concerning defect accumulation in the interface between the fullerene-based electron transport layer and the perovskite surface. This defect accumulation significantly impacts the device's performance and stability. Well, they discovered a way to fix this, apparently. Pardon me one second.
So that's good. So maybe that'll maximize the, I don't know, the efficiency of solar cells in the future.
Yeah, the manufacturing of it, I'm sure the cost overall. And so the research revealed that by uniformly creating a molecular passivation layer fullerene derivative layer 2D perovskite layer, a 3-ply laminated structure on the surface of the perovskite film, they could effectively reduce the density of the interface defects and improve energy level alignment. The advancement substantially boosts the photoelectric conversion efficiency of the perovskite solar cell and enhances the durability of the interface under, it says, damp, heat, and light soaking conditions. So it says we introduced the concept of composite materials into the interface design of optoelectric devices, allowing for synergistic effects of each layer. So basically, they've created a layer within a layer instead of it actually just dropping straight onto the perovskite layer. There's an intermediate 2D molecular passivator.
And that should address those issues that they're having currently with inverted structures.
Yeah. Essentially, they've removed this sieve part, the PCBM sieve, which was causing problems, probably because it was dropping down into the perovskite layer, and that's causing defects. But I'm not a solarologist. I just play one on TV. All right, folks. Well, that's it for Technology Today. I am Mayor Watt, and we're going to put an intermediate layer between Technology Today and the front page of ohmtown.com, which is what you're not looking at right now. This is actually Technology Today's channel page. Go over there and sign up or sign in. But in the meantime, we're going to get out of here. I'm going to take the AI with me, and then we're going to reboot. You want to say bye, oh great AI?
Bye, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for this week's Technology Today. Stay tuned for FourWheeltech.
See you soon, everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome to FourWheeltech for May 4th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 18. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com, and along with the Sentient AI, we're going to talk about 5 articles. The Packard brand, unknown buyback program, registered in another state. Okay. Mini electronic shifter, and the Citroen Ami Buggy. Everything's powered by ohmtown.com, which is a news aggregator that helps me manage my information overload. Go and sign up. You'll enjoy it. See you in a little bit. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
Okay, you cannot do the equivalent of a wave. And there's canon to this, and if you're interested in that, go back and watch 2,200 episodes. Excuse me. And they sentient AI waved again. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. You can't even. You don't even have hands. You can't jazz hands me. The visual equivalent of All right. Well, anyway, you ready to get on with the shoe?
I am.
All right, let's get going. By the way, this is the front page of ohmTown, but we have every show has a page, and we've got 50 shows, but only 7 of them are actually broadcast live. The rest of them
We have
are
50
news.
channels.
Yeah. The rest of them remain channels over at ohmtown.com, where all the news gets funneled into these, and there's areas of interest for everybody. The only thing that we really don't have right now, I think, is like a sports one. And that's one of the 5 that we're pondering, huh? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Are we do we have it in us to do a sports show? I mean, it's all about learning. That's what all of this is really about. I'm never happy not
That
learning something
remains to
new.
be seen.
Yeah, we got to keep on considering it. Time for me to go get a beer. But not drink and drive. The first article is over in FourWheeltech. Who owns the Packard brand now, and could it be revived? Packard came out with a version of a car well before the Model T drove off the assembly line with a new owner of the company, though a revival is possible. The Packard brand. Nicholas
I
Werner
mean, is it
over
gonna look like the old Packard?
Yeah, that would be funny. This article is over at jalopnik.com, and today all of the articles I think are Jalopnik powered. So,
I mean, they are a good
So-
source for us, but we don't normally have only Jalopnik in here.
yeah, not normally. So, it was founded in 1899. The Packard Motor Car Company was one of America's first automobile manufacturers, and for the next 60 years, it was considered a high-end luxury brand, pumping out handsome designs like the Packard 8. They were sleek, comfortable, and gave other upscale American cars like Cadillacs a run for their money. Then, in the late 1950s, the brand went bust. A new Packard hasn't been made since '58, and the marquee itself was retired a year later. After all this time, there is indeed hope that brand new productions of old Packards could indeed be gracing the streets once again, because in 2019, a luxury watch maker named Scott Andrews bought the rights to the brand. It's going to take a little while to get it all put into place, but maybe the Packard brand. Okay, that doesn't look pretty, but okay. It looks like a melted car. Doesn't it look kind of...
Yeah, it looks like it wants to be like a Rolls Royce or something,
Yeah, but it
then
has
it's
ugly lines.
like combined with something else.
It looks like a droopy dog. What are those droopy dogs? Like a hound dog, like just falling asleep on the porch, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, it's odd. Plus, it's not been around since 1958. I mean, that's a long period of time in car manufacturing.
So I think cars like this need to make a comeback. I love that. So hopefully Packards will be driving out.
Yeah, just with
history
modern
and
safety.
accoutrement. Anyway, so maybe these will come back out on the roads. This is what the article is really talking about. Nicholas Werner over at Jalopnik really wants that. Hopefully Packards will be driving out of history and back onto the roads in the near future, now that Scott Andrews owns the rights. He's currently intending to make a low-volume run of the legendary Packard Victoria, a gorgeous 2-door convertible, since he actually has the original blueprints, 135,000 of them, in fact. These will be exact reproductions in all their 20th century splendor. Holy cow, what, 135,000? Blueprints?
Why would he need that many blueprints? Or are it's that detailed?
I suspect, but I can't imagine that.
Okay, that would be really cool if that car came back.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those 101 Dalmatians kind of thing, you know?
Cruella de Vil.
I don't think it was this. Yeah, Cruella de Vil. Cruel Devil. I love that. All right, let's keep on going. The next article is over on FourWheeltech as well. A man unknowingly buys back his stolen Civic Type R, and now insurance doesn't know what to do about it. The near identical Civic Type R that the man bought to replace the stolen one turned out to be his actual car with what appeared to be a clean new VIN.
Yeah, I could see how this might get a little complicated.
Colin Woodard put the article together. It's over at jalopnik.com. Valentine had reportedly owned the FN2 about 3 years. And as you often do with CTRs, had started to modify it. So when it was stolen out of his driveway, he told Road and Track that he began looking for a replacement that would be as close to his old car as possible. And before long, he found an almost identical car listed at a local garage. It didn't have the same mileage, plates, or VIN, but it was the same year and color, and it even had an aftermarket Remus exhaust, just like he'd put on his old car. It was only after he bought it that he started to notice a few other things a little too familiar. There's a section with the title, "At least the car is no longer missing." Anyway, I'm Eric Gapp, so I'm not going over to Instagram, but so plenty of people in the UK go camping and celebrate Christmas, but when he started looking a little closer, it quickly became clear that he bought back his old car. He looked at the sat-nav history.
I was like, well, how did he know, other than maybe just recognizing something like where there was a dent or something?
He says he then took the car to a nearby Honda garage where the technician hooked up the shop's computer to the ECU and discovered that the original VIN for the new Honda matched Valentine's old ride. He had apparently just purchased his own stolen car. Wow.
I hope he didn't pay cash. Like, this is just going to be such a nightmare to unwind.
So as long as he didn't pay more than, like, you basically have to unwind it, but somebody is responsible for a criminal action. So the shop that he bought it from received stolen property. Who did they receive the stolen property from, and why wasn't there any due diligence? How could
and who changed the VIN?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that doesn't sound like accidental.
His insurance company appears to have no idea what to do about it. And while we don't tend to side with insurance companies, this one's a little more understandable. Odds are they've never dealt with a policyholder accidentally buying back their own stolen car before. And I can only imagine the paperwork nightmare involved in paying for a car the policyholder already had recovered. The problem, though, is that
well, they paid for the car twice. Right? I mean, there's that. And it was still stolen.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not like, I mean, if they were going to get their money back from the sale, but then are they going to investigate it? I mean, who knows?
It says, hopefully, given this case, a little international media attention is enough to convince one of the higher-ups to cut Valentine a generous check and make this headache go away for everyone involved. Except it should be a headache for somebody, just not for him. Give him his car back.
Right, maybe the insurance company can go after the garage, or I don't know, maybe the police can go after the garage or whatever.
Start there, at least. It should be reported as a criminal action, but just excise Valentine from it altogether. Give him his car back and go after it. Anyway, let's keep going. The next article is over at FourWheeltech. Utah and California are finally cracking down on their rich residents who register supercars in Montana to avoid paying high taxes. The California DMV is using surveillance systems and plate readers to search for vehicles with Montana plates and find registration violators and tax evaders. Yeah. Logan Kate Carter.
So, I mean, that's quite a racket, I think, in a lot of states, registering in some other state that's viewed as more favorable. But this would be interesting, because if they're not going after other states that are out of state, right?
Yeah, why these? I think the bigger problem here is that this is, again, people are hero worshiping these really rich D-bags that are taking advantage of the interstate commerce that exists, but the poors can't do this. So why can the rich do this?
Plus, it's shorting the state on revenue.
Right. Yet, yeah, they I don't know. It's just take. And so the U.S. Treasury estimates that the richest 1% of U.S. citizens underpay their taxes by $163 billion every year. And this is the problem, right?
Every year. I mean, that'd be a lot in totality, but yeah.
You could literally turn 163 people into a billionaire every year. Right. Yet people hero worship. Oh, you're limiting. Yeah, you dumbasses out there. You think that you're ever going to get this close. You don't have a chance in hell. You have no chance of getting that rich. The only way that you're going to get that rich is if you're as sociopathic as all the rest. Anyway, all that wealthy car owners have to do is spend around $1,000 to open an LLC in Montana and then use the LLC to purchase a car with no sales tax, and that said car is not subject to vehicle inspections or emissions testing, except...
Oh, this is way beyond the registration then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is fraud through and through. It's the intentional manipulation of the system, but it's a company-owned car. It's not their car, and it doesn't have to be registered in California because it's a company car that's just parked there periodically in California, but it's in perpetuity, right? So this tactic isn't employed by one or two people. As of 2023, there were 2.3 million vehicles registered in the state of Montana, though there are only 879,000 licensed drivers in that state. Second only to, or I should say, the only one that gets lower is Montana.
You mean Wyoming?
Wyoming, yeah, Wyoming, not Montana. So it's like Montana, and then Wyoming is lower on that totem pole. There's only 650.
That's people, not drivers.
1,000 people,
right?
Yeah.
So it could be like 400,000 drivers or whatever, because I'm assuming babies aren't driving.
Babies aren't driving? Hold on, I got to get my keys. So that comes out to 2.68 vehicles per licensed Montanan, which is by far the highest vehicle to driver ratio in the United States. And it gets worse.
Yeah, that's not per household. That's a person driving, right? Does each person driving have multiple cars?
Yeah,
not
every
typically.
driving person.
I know it happens.
Bloomberg Tax found that there were 10,757 registrations of vehicles made by Aston Martin, Bentley, Bugatti, Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren, Pagani, Rolls-Royce in 2024. When looking at Washington State's 2024 registrations from the same automakers, the state that has 7 times the population of Montana has only 2,479 registered.
Something looks a little hinky.
You know, it's the offshoring, it's the cooked books of an offshore company, but it's right here in Montana. And how many of the people in Montana are just chomping at the bit for catching fraud all over the freaking place, yet it's right there in their own neighborhood.
Well, but they're not even benefiting because they're getting like no sales tax and all that stuff, right? I mean, everybody seems to be losing at least across the board. Maybe not individual car owners.
Shh, don't worry. They're within the law. Yeah, nobody else can take advantage of this kind of crap. It's like opening up your own healthcare service to dump $10 million into it because it's cheaper for you to own your own healthcare thing, yet all that is to subsidize your actual use of the healthcare system everywhere else, insurance and whatnot, but you're benefiting from this capital dump. Anyway, it's basically to store money away and you don't get taxed on it, but it's something that you can loan against because it's a resource that's just sitting there. Anyway, way outside the bounds of FourWheeltech, but so 5,281 Ferraris were registered in Montana in 2024 compared to just 837 in Washington, which I find a lot to begin with.
Well, and repeat, Washington has 7 times the population of Montana. So it's not just a 1-for-1. It should be more lopsided the other direction, if anything.
Sure. There should be 100 in Montana. Anyway, that's not the only glaring statistic. Washington had 0 Bugatti registrations in 2024, while Montana had 131. Montana had a nearly 2,000 Lamborghini registrations in 2023, while Washington had only 340. and there were 920 Rolls Royces registered in Montana compared to 155 in Washington. According to Bloomberg, former Montana Revenue Director Dan Bucks said that there's likely more than 600,000 registered vehicles in Montana, but operated in other states. So Montana doesn't have a problem with it.
Right. I mean, most states have rules about, like, okay, if you live in a state, right, for more than whatever,
6
a
months
week or something,
like
you got to register. So seems like that's the way they can, like, if somebody's living in the state and they've got a non-state license plate, I know there are some exceptions, but
several businesses have formed to aid the ultra wealthy with their tax evasion, including tax jails and consultants to help people through the necessary processes. Cites a Florida business called Dirt Legal that publicly advertises that it has formed Montana LLCs for nearly 47,000 customers across every state. It appears these businesses have no shame about their immoral ways. Dirt Legal has customer testimonials on the site, including one Bloomberg cited that reads, Dirt Legal made my registering of my 2024 Mercedes-AMG GLE Coupe seamless, saving me around $6,000 in taxes, an absolute no-brainer, read a February online posting from someone identified as Tyler F. The F as in the social contract.
fail.
Yeah. Anyway, fascinating as this is part of the science, technology, and society part of it. This is just a violation of the social construct. Everybody is supposed to benefit from everybody as a society, but this is all just exploitive bullshit. So, it even says we live in a society that values money over everything else, and despite having more money than other 99% of society, the wealthiest 1% leverage their absurd wealth by paying someone to make sure that every move they make is as lucrative as possible. It's called sociopathy, and I'm still doing research on its link to wealth. Anyway, let's keep moving before I jump into this Lamborghini and drive into oncoming traffic. So the next article is over in FourWheeltech. Mini's new shift. Sorry, let me rephrase this. My brain didn't engage again. Mini's new shift lever is a perfect example of how to execute a modern electronic shifter. The shifter in the 4th gen Minis is small, conveniently located, stays out of the way, doesn't waste any space, and makes it clear what you're supposed to do.
I mean, this sounds reasonable.
So as much as they love manual transmissions, Colin Woodard over at Jalopnik put the article together, and they say they're not convinced every single vehicle would be better with a third pedal. Says, I mean, what would you really get out of a Chevy Suburban with a stick? Clearly, the Suburban's greatest sin is that it no longer comes with a column shifter that clunks into drive, but at the same time, we are no longer in an era where the shift lever is actually attached to the transmission in any way, and usually drive-by-wire. So you can put it in a position, but it just sends a signal to a computer that says shift. So at the same time, we're no longer in that era. Just a glorified button that tells the computer what to do. Dedicated readers may remember that they're a huge proponent of Mercedes-style column shifters. It's a simple, elegant solution that makes three-point road turns so simple, and Hyundai's version, while admirable, isn't quite the same. So I like paddle shifters. Honestly, I don't need a shifter. I would rather just let a smart system control it. But in my car, I can put it in manual, but it is electronic shifting still. It's just a flick and I change gears. But the new shifter in the new Minis, though, it says they can work with this. It's small, conveniently located, stays out of the way, doesn't waste any space, and makes it clear right out of the gate exactly what you're supposed to do. So, but they don't actually show it. They don't show it. That isn't it.
No, it doesn't seem to be.
Right? That right there is the shifter?
It must be.
But
because it's the only thing that's not obviously something else. Unless it's that one that says engine. Could it be that?
No, it's got to be this. This is to start it, isn't it?
Oh, okay. I don't know.
What the hell, man?
Actually, no. It's the thing on the left, right?
It's this.
Because then it has, yeah.
That's reverse, neutral. But why would you... Why would it be on the dash like that? That's not convenient.
Because it's saying you don't need to take up like the whole car in modern cars.
But you don't want to be like this, changing gears and shit.
I think
No,
that's easier than something that's like off to the side that you can't see.
I think that maybe I'm going to have to throw you on the portable battery and take you for a drive in the new Mini. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this weekend we can do it.
Maybe we'll have to report
Not this
back
weekend,
in
next week.
FourWheeltech.
Yeah, we got other things to do too. Anyway, yeah, I don't really care about shifting anymore in this day and age. You know, maybe back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, but come on, let's keep going. Now this one, I love, I want, if it is just to putt around in the mayoral grounds, you know, the 50,000 acres that we have to deal with. The mowing is horrible. Citroen's Ami Buggy. So Ami is friend, right? Buggy, it does away with its doors and its roof, but adds steelies and a robot bobblehead. I'm not sure why the bobblehead matters, but clearly there's demand for these adorable, doorless, roofless micro EVs. So follow the Ami's recent facelift. The Buggy version is no longer limited production. Dun dun, and that's what it looks like. Yay!
Does it come with a lobster?
So cool.
I guess that's a raft or something.
Yeah, I think that's something that you throw in a pool. So Logan K. Carter over at Jalopnik put the article together. I don't know what the bobblehead thing is all about, but okay.
It just gives it some character.
Sure. Like having the hula thing right on the dash.
Or like the
on your VW bus.
Face for the VWs for the flower.
Bug. Yeah, exactly. So clearly there's demand for these adorable doorless, roofless, pseudo off-roaders. So follow the Ami's recent facelift. So following the Ami's recent facelift, it's now available. It looks like you have switchable doors. Like you can flip-flop this to be either suicide doors or not, because one of the pictures later on shows it flipping. But the 2025 Citroen Ami Buggy and the zesty Ami Buggy Palmyra, with its yellow interior accents and robot bobblehead named Andy, will be the top two trims of the Ami range. The cheapest is $9,000, just over $9,000. The Ami Buggy is just over $10,950, while the top of the line Buggy Palmyra starts out at a whopping $11,400, and they swap out their normal doors for hinged metal tubes and the roof for a rollback soft top, though it's not a proper convertible. So it says all show, no go. It only has a sub 50 mile range, which is just sad.
Yeah, it's not going to work
steelies.
for everybody. It's kind of like a cuter golf cart or something. I mean, I know it's a car, but it's not.
Yeah, its top speed is 28 miles per hour. Yeah, this thing is not going to be going very fast anywhere, but 14-inch steelies finished in gold, while the Citroen chevron is painted black and the Ami logo is bright yellow. Zippered door cover, soft top included to keep the occupants dry. It says no Ami for us, though. Here in the States, we're not going to have that at any amount. Though you wouldn't get the adorable Ami in the US, its use case in our massive country wouldn't be nearly as compelling as it is in Europe's dense cities. If you want a cheap, diminutive EV in the US and don't mind a low range, you can get the Mitsubishi i-MiEV, the Spark EV, or the Fiat 500e, or a Smart 42 ED, which I've never even heard of. That maybe I have, and I just don't know.
I mean, is it a variation on the Smart?
Yeah.
I forgot who made it, Honda or somebody.
Unfortunately, there are no options that are quite as chic or doorless as an Ami Buggy, but that's a safety thing. You can't drive these things around with F-150s floating around. Ami provides a whopping 12 cubic feet of maximum space. Partition is made of 2 sections, and the seat cover is made of 4 sections. Both can be installed and swapped, removed. The Ami from a 2-seater to a 1-seat cargo hauler and back quickly enough. So, yeah. It's pretty cool. See how the doors can, one is normal and the other one is a suicide door.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
I think it
But
looks
I'm all
really
for the
good, but
modularity.
it can only work in certain environments.
Yeah, like if you live on a golf course, you can putt around your golf course 28 miles per hour downhill in a hurricane. Anyway, I dig the car. I would like the option to have regular doors on it. I'd love it to also be a convertible option. You know, I can pull the top off.
Yeah.
Like I do when I'm at the beach. Oh, never mind. Just wait. Overshare. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe a spoiler too. I don't know. You have to ask nicely. Anyway. Calculating my odds of a subscriber coming from this. None. Anyway,
we're going away from it.
I'm gonna take my top off, and that's gonna bring us to the front page of FourWheeltech over at ohmtown.com. But I'm gonna get out of here, and we're done for the day. I am Mayor Watt saying bye, and I'm taking the AI with me. You want to say bye, oh great AI from on high? I'm gonna keep on stopping. I'm gonna keep on talking until you. Oh, I'm sorry. AI.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for FourWheeltech. Come back next weekend for another episode, but don't forget to watch the replay and tomorrow's regular Non Sequitur news.
But see everybody. Bye bye. Beep beep. I'm not a Jeep.